To record. Welcome, welcome. Oh, there you are, Betty. Awesome.
Hi.
Hi, Stacy. Hi, Betty.
Hi.
Everyone.
And then there's one, Nancy's on her way, and Judy's here. Can you hear us, Judy?
I can, yes. Thank you. I'm a bit out of it, but I'm super glad. I just gotta get the adrenaline going here. It's building.
I understand. I do. Okay, welcome. I was just doing a skim read on your reply to the supply list
Yeah.
email, and so I don't have images from you. Can you send them again?
Oh no, I didn't send them this time because obviously since everybody else I just signed up last night or this morning or whatever. So Charlene is rolling with me, so I don't have any, but I could work with them. It's just I can't do that video thing. So
So
I'll just be a bit behind today, but if that works, I'm in.
yeah, and so I've asked like so this is a kind of ever we're all here now. Hi, Nancy. Welcome. I'm not used to doing afternoon classes, so I almost want to say good morning.
Yeah. Good enough for me.
It's really helpful for me with this class. I'll just do a little intro of what my expectations are, and then we can introduce each other and our animals. Everyone's going to get some soapbox time today because the whole name of this game, which I'm so thrilled about doing, and it'd be more choice if we were all in the same studio, wouldn't it be? Right? Like it would, if for a big, large piece of work, it would be really great if we could do weekly at a studio and a space where I can come up to the easel and actually feel its size with you. But because we're all over the Canada, United States area. So it's kind of cool that we can join in on Zoom. And what worked in February was to email or text me photos of process and especially the reference photos. So today I'd really like to look at materials, talk about any changes you want to make. I mean, I put together a supply list, but considering this is you're choosing your own animal, you're doing a large work sustained for 4 weeks, I'm very happy to help you work out a mixed media combo that makes you really excited. Today is looking at thumbnails and looking at whatever ideas you had, whatever animal ideas you had, that we have a good composition. If we don't have a good composition or good reference photos, to look for those. And that might not happen this afternoon while we're in class together, but at least that you know, hey, I need to have more information for this or that to reference to make that happen. And then I like to show you my approach of blocking in and getting a ghost started so that you are able to do that. Again, not necessarily this afternoon, but that you feel confident to go in and say, yep, you know what, this is going to be quick and this is all that's expected, or this is what this makes sense to me, sort of thing. So and all of that, actually, may I just ask, Nancy, did you finish your fox?
Did I finish my what?
Your fox.
I didn't do much more on him, to be honest.
Okay, but
I think I'm gonna let him stay like he is for a bit.
Okay. Because the last photo I have, the tail was still like not really, attention to. Yeah.
No, and his other paw wasn't really finished up either.
Okay. All right, fair enough. I just thought I'd check in with you about that. And any questions as I'm just sort of like making sure that I'm ready to go? I'm ready. Hit me up. Any questions? Especially this for Judy and Betty, because this would be your first round of these sessions. So is there anything that I haven't explained very well, like you're like confused about, or?
Not yet.
So I've got a question.
Okay.
Hi, Betty. Where are you from?
Pardon me?
I said, hi, Betty. Where are you from?
Oh, hi. I'm in Illinois, northern Illinois, right on the Wisconsin border.
Wow. Okay. That's
And
exciting.
you're in Canada, right?
Yes. I'm near Toronto. Well, not that near Toronto. I'm depending on the traffic, somewhere between 40 minutes and an hour and a half or 2 hours out the side of
Okay.
Toronto.
Well, I'm
Right.
about an hour from Chicago, so that
Okay.
Okay. We're near Toronto, Nancy. This is Judy. Sorry, I'll explain my box in a second.
Oh yeah, I'm like, where are you? I'm just out in West Oakville, so on the border
Oh,
with
okay.
Burlington. That way.
I'm in Haida Gwaii, which is you can see Alaska from the beach. It's Canada though.
Oh,
So
oh,
I'm up north, not Vancouver Island, like about 2.5 hours flying from Vancouver.
wow.
Um,
oh.
yeah, I'm on an island. That's why I'm in a box because our internet is not that great. So we always laugh because if you have a meeting here, everyone has their video off, and then you go somewhere else and they're like, "What?" Yeah, so do, I can ask a question, but you want to do the rest of the intros, Sharlena, first?
Teacher thing is just happening. I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
great. Yeah, I know it's been a couple years since. So I think
Yeah.
it's a couple of years ago that you were doing some classes like fearless drawing. A lot of animal. You've always been into animals, to my recollection.
Oh, that's so interesting. Like, I just find you so fascinating, Charlene. I think I did animals and I really loved, like, I just remember something you did about cropping. Like, you just crop something and instantly it was so different, Like, I've just learned from these moments from you. And so you're asking if we had any questions. Like, even today, even if I don't have the right reference image, just trying to get one and running it by you would be cool
Mhm.
because I know I'll learn from that, like what makes it work, and then I can try that with something else.
Perfect, perfect. And that's what I'm hoping for everyone as well. That because I have an eye, a trained eye, so to speak, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that my personal preference or what I would do is always the right thing to do. So the way that this was working, which is going to continue, and because I love it and I think it's really great, is that our sessions Tuesday afternoons are mostly to help each other. It's group discussion and feedback because there's not much you can really do in 2 hours. Of course, this is time like for us to get stuff done, yes, but it is to me very discussion heavy because the amount of feedback that we can give each other, that's like for each of us we have 5 different or 6 different viewpoints, coming at the choices that we are putting on the table. And so then you go to your easel and you're like, wait a minute, I have nothing to worry about here. I'm not questioning anything. These are all good ideas. Everyone said so. It's democracy at its best, really.
Like,
The way it should be. Should we
right.
bring the rest of the world onto this Zoom call?
Everything would be better. We'd solve it all. We'd have a big dinner at a long table.
Yes.
And lots of playtime.
Yeah, I think this is really cool. And so Esther is near Ottawa from
Yes, I'm in a small town, Pakenham, which is about an hour west of Ottawa, out in the country.
it's almost like in a way around a big city, all of the smaller cities that have hit up next to each other end up becoming in the country, but they're not really. It's still rural. Mm, what do you call it? Metro rural? Is that a thing? No.
Yes, it
Yeah,
could be.
kind
Could be.
yeah.
I mean, I like the fact that I live out here, in the country, but I can easily go into Ottawa. It's
Yeah,
perfect.
yeah. And then Stacy's in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay. I used to live in Toronto, just so
Mm.
now it's in Parkdale. So I have a bit of big city. I always feel like, oh, I'm closer now.
Well, yeah, you are. You are. Although I moved last year. I'm
Oh,
closer to Ottawa. I'm like
oh,
between Kingston and Ottawa, and I live in the country,
oh, wow.
in like literally the middle of nowhere, a little tiny town, um, with country roads, and I still don't drive, so that's my, you can do anything story, because you can still, I mean, I can't get anywhere by myself, but the kind of way that I live is not really a problem anyway. Like I'm always like working with other people and collaborating, and that has everything to do with even things like groceries. So from art to groceries, it's the same. But I really do love the chickens. They're not on my list for today, mind you. What did I have written down? This is from our last session. So I had posted the coyotes. So Judy, I know that you must have seen that. Is that how you kind of found out when I was like, oh, I'm running another series of classes? Was it the coyotes?
I think it was just me going, for some reason I saw
Oh,
an email and I thought, oh, I haven't checked in Sharlena email for a while. And I looked at it and it just happened to be tomorrow.
wow. Holy
Yeah,
moly. Well,
I would
yesterday,
love to see the coyotes.
yeah, yesterday I posted this because I decided it was finished. And who did I talk to? I'm not even sure if I talked to anyone.
And you're saying posted, is that on Facebook?
Yeah, posted. Well, everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere. So, yeah, I think just with the feedback and everything, that I just knew at some point I was like, I'm finished, because I looked at every single space and I couldn't think of anything that I would want to change. That I was happy with everything. And I honestly don't want to work on it anymore. Ta-da! So those are all good reasons to be like, that's it. So
Oh, wow.
And what media is that? I love it.
this is charcoal and soft pastel, and a lot
It's
of erasing. So I will, no matter what, because I've suggested like a drawing paper or a watercolor paper, I think the drawing part is something that I'd like to encourage. I think there's a lot of control with drawing, but this might be an opportunity, this round two, to talk about doing any watercolor or acrylic staining on the paper before we get into drawing, because I know that was a discussion last time. So today is more about making the plan, but the plan of like what media and when, but this one was charcoal, erasing, adding charcoal, compressed charcoal, darks. Actually, hey, me, I'm just like a giant in the studio space. I have process photos, and then I actually have some other photos that have been sent in that we can help each other with. So I created a shared album. I will send you the link. So is this screen sharing? Can you see all the crows?
Yes.
Yeah.
Super. Okay. Um,
Do you want process photos from the last one from the rest of us?
I have some of them.
Okay.
So you share this with Google Doc or something?
This is an iPhoto, but I can do Google Photos as well. I can do a link and send that out. So this was the first stage of this is the second stage. So first, there was a ghosting in, just like getting the main overall shape. And then this is coming in with the darks. So that's a compressed charcoal and really smudgy. And I even allowed my friend's son, who's 5 years old, to come in with a brush and smudge it around. And it was hilarious. He was having a lot of fun. So this is a stage to not be stressed out in any way. So it's like good to see this and then know that at the very end you don't really suffer any problems from being loose and free. So it went from that to that. And so since this stage, there's still a lot more that came in over top. So 4 weeks seems to be a pretty good sweet spot. This was, I guess, almost at the end.
This is 22 by 30.
Yeah, 22 by 28 when I measured it, like coming in a half an inch for either cropping or matting or framing. So 22 by, let me see, it didn't quite measure up to be 30.
I think the size, the top size of that is 22 by 28. It's like the paper, the brand of paper is different.
This one's 22 3/4 by 29.
It's very impressive, the scene, seeing it on a, I mean, I saw it on the Facebook posting, but to see it like that on your paper, it's very impressive, the size of it.
And that is, so this is the interesting thing about scale, right? That is why it's really kind of cool. If when we get together on Zoom, if you can have it set up to show or take a picture with scale. I mean, Stacy, when you put your dog in that one photo for when you were showing it, just to say like, this is the scale, that's great. You know, or even a hand or something that is a common size, like a pop can or something, you know, to, because for me or for anybody to see a finished work, this is no different than like, you know, being in catalogs of art and you think the Mona Lisa is a certain size and you go and see it in real life and you're like, whoa, that's not what I thought. A lot of Van Gogh stuff too, it was quite small. And Salvador Dali, like, what? You know, we think these things are really big, but so to see something large and to actually feel it is something I'd like to experience for all of us, even if it's just the in the group witnessing. For the sake of doing an easy composition for myself, because I have like a rabbit, snow monkey, bald eagle. I think I'm going to do the owl because I do have a reference for that. And so what I'm going to do is just show you some sketches that I've done and suggest that you get out your sketchbook and then we individually will go around and help each other as a group to talk about the ideas that you have. Even if you don't have the photo, it doesn't matter. You don't even need a photo. But the idea, we can talk about this too, the idea of having a piece this, especially this large, without a reference, if you're going to conceptualize everything about it, I still think maybe having some photo references for certain things like an eye or part of the face would be valuable. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't be able to do anything without a reference photo. There's just no way. I've tried before. And I don't have visual imagery in my mind. This is an actual thing. It's called aphantasia. And when I found out about it, I was like, okay, that's pretty cool to know that it's that different. Like I do not have any visuals in my mind at all. I'm going to log in on my phone so that I can do an overview. I should have set this up before, but I forgot.
Is that a scene that you've actually seen before, the coyotes?
No.
Oh.
No, and I'm so glad.
What I love is that and it's something that I was thinking about in mine too, is that I love the motion of it. It's not static. And so I'm interested in your strategies for that.
So I'd also like to share, there's the work, if this is okay, with Stacy and Nancy. And Esther, are you going to continue on a little bit maybe with
Um, I'm actually interested in getting into my ideas with the horse, but
Oh.
I am continuing on with the caribou.
It's the caribou, estrus caribou. So this is
Oh.
charcoal
Great.
and acrylic. Again, conceptualizing, a memory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the story with that is I used to go to meetings in the north in Nunavut, and I was staying in somebody's house, and I got up in the morning, got my coffee, looked outside, and there were all these just trotting through town very calmly, like they owned the place. And they were amazing. And so I didn't know I was going to draw, do an artwork with caribou. Started Sharlena's class, but this is what happened.
And
Great.
this is a full sheet, and it's not to say that because sometimes ideas will happen very quickly, and sometimes you have to let it be and sit, and it'll speak to you. And so we were talking about horse references. This is Nancy's fox. We still don't have a name for the fox.
Great.
There's one after that, though.
Oh, this is my latest that I saved. That
Okay, all right.
not your fault. You probably messaged me, but I didn't save it.
Okay.
Yeah, you chilled. Yeah, that's right. You chilled out the back and then
And put in the tail.
looked at. There's a swirl in the tail. Do you want to send that in the chat?
Yeah, I'll send it right now.
Okay. This is Stacy's. Is that the latest one, Stacy? I think this is the latest one.
Is that the pilated woodpecker?
I'm not sure. Stacy, are you there?
Oh,
Maybe
I'm here. Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Oh.
That one behind. So that is the latest one.
And then do you know what kind of woodpecker it was? What was that, Betty?
The pilated?
Yes.
Mm.
Yeah, they're impressive. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
This is a series that Stacey's continuing to work on, so you'll get more storyline out of that. And then while we're here, I can share a couple of. So this is Nancy's, which.
Oh, wow.
Oh, goodness.
Which I love. So what did you take a picture of this through?
Yeah, through a patio door, and it was raining out. So I'm not going to try to paint the rain or the patio door because I wouldn't have a clue. But I'll just hone in on the birds and the tree thing.
Is that an actual photo?
Yeah, it's a photo I took up at North. Yeah.
Oh, that's the photo?
Yeah, that's the photo.
Oh my gosh.
Which
it almost looks like out of a fairy tale book.
I know. It's going to paint itself.
Yeah.
It's so soft. Honestly, I thought that was your painting.
No, I wish. Well,
it will be. It will be.
But it is a really interesting challenge because, if you're translating it to large scale and you want to put value in it, but keep that quality, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and I might take some of that quality away. I might hone into actual birds on I'll see how that one happens.
It does look like a painting. This looks like when you use those apps to, make your photo look more like an impressionist painting or watercolor.
Right.
Yeah.
There's that effect quality. And this is beyond, like, this is the opposite in a way of what I usually suggest. I usually say, get a clear photo, something that gives you the information. But there is a lot of merit to looking at photos you've taken, and then you don't have any problems with licensing.
Yeah.
And even if it's blurry or a candid photo, and then patching, because the watercolor sort of looseness, and then the color palette might change, but I was like, well, hey, Nancy, I have a ton of good photos of crow faces that I got from a photographer. So you can just use and reference and patch that when you get to the point of doing the details in the face. And then I love, this is what to me is so abstracted. So this is the sketch based on this. This is what I would like to see from us today for getting into the large piece, is to work out a composition that we're happy with. Nancy nailed it. She picked a good photo that she had the rights to, really cool narrative with the two birds. And then this is just looking at, is it a good composition with the shapes alone? The Notan, this is a Notan for what it's worth. I'm going to stop share for a minute. I'll just show you what I have. I know we're bouncing around. I hope this is, or just organically working. Why couldn't I spotlight? That's weird. Okay.
When you share photos, because I have an iPhone, you can share, like, just have a shared album, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I have done a shared album that I can add everyone to.
Oh, great.
And you can dump your stuff in there. And then we can all see it when I screen share.
And will you have the Coyote process ones as well in there?
Yeah.
Okay.
It is all in there.
Okay.
I think I've taken myself off host somehow. I'm like, how do I?
So weird to watch your right hand moving so much and your
It's so annoying. It's so annoying. And I'm like having to lift my arm up onto the iPad on a shelf, and it is a workout, I tell you.
No, it's not annoying. It's just that your left hand was really still and your right hand's moving a lot. And it's the same person, but it's so whoa.
And I'm not getting this. Usually I can do spotlight and it's not letting me do that. Why?
That's weird.
Yeah, it
Oops,
is.
did you stop sharing? You must have.
I have stopped sharing.
Because sometimes that'll.
Should I?
Or unpin speaker. I'm just brainstorming because there's all
Yeah. There's something that happened and I'm not sure what it was. I'm gonna leave the meeting on my phone because that's when, right, see, it kicked me off. There we go, assign and leave. Okay.
Yes,
All right.
Now we've lost the phone. If you want it to.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll just pull it up. So this is the photo that I asked the photographer. It was on Facebook. I was searching for a great gray owl. I found in the Google results, it linked to this group, Algonquin animals and photographers and stuff. And so it wasn't like a free for artists reference group, which there are some of those and they're great. This was just like I'm taking photos. Anyway, it's a little blurry, but which is fine. And I really don't want to do this like coming right at you pose, but it's dramatic and I know it'll work. And so it's okay. Like I can do a couple of works about the owl. Like I don't want to stress out about finding the right photo because I have other ideas. And it's, when I think about when I do the sketches and there's not quite one. So these were a bunch of sketches I did for the owl. Again, super, super simple. You shouldn't be getting into any detail. It's literally about spacing, placement.
Sharlena, those are all from the same photo, but different angles.
Different photos.
Oh, different.
different photos, and just kind of like which photo, which frame, which feeling. Like this one to me is too right in your face, but I know it'll work. And that's with the Notan. So this is using one of those apps or whatnot to just, it's not a grayscale, it's black and white. And the reason it's important, you don't have to do a Notan. This is the idea of looking at it just for simply composition. The only reason to do it is to double check your composition. So you don't have to ever do this, but if you've got a lot of stuff like branches and grasses and things around, it's nice to check it out. Whether it's a sketched Notan like you do with the Sharpie marker, or that you use an app. There is an app called the Notanizer.
Oh,
it's a thing. It's a thing.
Like that.
The peace sign. So it's a yin, or sorry, not peace. It's a yin and yang. And it, I think, costs like $1.99 for that app. There might be other ones. It's just like, honestly, it's not anything to ever get stressed out about. The whole idea is to check complicated compositions, because doing a value scale can still look good, but not actually show you if the placement, if there's anything out of sorts with the placement of something. I think, Nancy, your sketch with the crows really showed a good example of like, this is a good value scale. And then I dropped that into that app just to see. And it's like, hey, it should look totally abstract. It shouldn't even resemble what you're trying to do. Like, here was my Notan for the wolves.
Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah.
And so it's not, and I knew at that point that I was going to have trouble with the legs by doing this. Yeah.
Why did you know that? Sorry.
Doing the Notan really helps to identify what's working shape and composition wise, but then also it can really help you with what's working with what you know and what you don't know. So if those apps sort of delete something because there's too much confusion, I'd say grasses and feet are a good example. Then you sort of know ahead of time, oh, I never thought about that. I can't really see the feet, or I can't really see this part of the animal. I'm going to need to figure that out. Instead of, so the Notan can really just simplify things and be like, wait a minute, actually, I can't see these feet here because that was grass.
Right.
That was the photo. And so you look at a photo and you're like, oh, I love the photo. It's great. This had good licensing for, me to be able to use it. And I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. But until you start doing your sketches and then playing around with, this is the extreme black and white, then I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't quite catch that I couldn't see those legs. What am I going to do? So it's not like it's a problem. It's just helping you determine how to set yourself up, how to prepare and plan, what to edit out. So that's something that we can do today, what to edit out. So.
And then just on that, so that's a 2-value Notan. Do you, how do you relate that to a 3 to 5? That's what I usually do, all of them, and look at all of them. And I've been looking at artists' work that I really admire, and doesn't matter whomever it is that I like, their values are so clear. It can be really colorful, but the values are just exactly like you would find in a value thing. So that's one thing I want to pay attention to. So I guess my question though is about, so that's a 2-value. And then when you drop that into 3 or 4, how do you take that knowledge back?
So in the form of a sketch and not using any tools, a Notan, which is a concept that came about, to my knowledge, with Robert Jen, the Twice Weekly Painters. Robert Jen he lived in BC, and he would put out these letters that were called Painter's Keys newsletters. And his daughter still runs them. If you're interested in signing up, it's like an archive that apparently can last for decades. It's amazing. Really great newsletters. And one of those was about the difference between a value scale and then just simply composition. So when we look at value and doing a value scale, whether it's 3 or more values, that's to help us space out the values and make sure that they are moving our eye around. But the Notan, which means light and dark, it's actually not about value at all. It's more about the placement of shapes. And I'm wondering if I can do that on, aha. Okay, hold on.
This is cool. Thought?
I am going to try, I'll just hold it up. Okay. Okay, I think this one was for a different class. That's okay. So this is the app. So you can do on these apps value. And so you're looking at white, black, and all the grays in between. But what a Notan does is it really strips things down to just white and black. And why is this getting all sticky here? So that you can see, like, if the background was, say it was a darker sky, that you're like, I need to really lighten up the back because I can't even see, can't do it too light.
Yeah.
So it's actually simplifying it even more. It's not really about value, it's about placement. Here was one. Because this is a good one about value. This is a painting. This is my friend's painting. Super cute. And grayscale, not so bad. Honestly, it's very what we call low key. But in a Notan, it disappears. It's gone.
Wow.
It's just bye tree. So compositionally, she was hinging on color. It actually, the value was gone. The composition was kind of like not really strong. And, you know, it's okay because that was like a play date. It was just for fun. And the critiques that came from that group, she didn't want to abide by. So, and that's okay because it was like, I don't care if it's a strong composition. There was like an attitude that day, right? And that's like, you're allowed. But those tools and sort of that idea of hinging on, like, would that tree have been better over here and over there? It's sort of a side to value. Like the Notan, there's a document, Judy, I'll send you that. It's from the Robert Jen because he explains it with examples that are really good, which I just am not set up for.
Yeah, but you did great there actually, because I was kind of trying to grasp onto it and just showing that picture alone. Because a value thing would have just found, the darkest value and the lightest. Whereas the Notanizer disappeared it, which is what back that.
It obliterated it. And then Nancy's, this is, I think, a really good example as well, right? You've got your photo and you do want to sketch it out to get familiar with your shapes and make decisions. Like with all that grass in the background, is that a shape? Or is that just going to be space, that you interfere with texture and color? But so there's ideas that are happening in this sketch that are really like, what's going to be there. And then, so there, you've got good values working your eye around. But if I have to assign those values, white or black, and this is what happens with the Notan, then you know it's pleasing to the eye. There's enough large space of both light and dark. It is, on good angles. Nothing is like there's a nice big space here, which is fine. Yeah. So it's to help you kind of go, yeah. That's just about placement of shapes on the paper. And then this is about the value moving your eye around. And actually, so is this, Nancy, when you sketched that in this area for grass, was that to kind of play with composition a bit?
Yeah, but I'm wondering if it would be better without it. Like then it would just go phew, like a nice arch. Like
yeah,
forget about the boulder sort of thing behind there.
I'm not seeing a boulder. Is there a boulder?
Oh no, in that tonal drawing that I did. Yeah, there isn't a boulder there.
No.
I don't know where that came from.
Well, so it's interesting, and to do not necessarily a full sheet, but like a small thumbnail sketch, and to really look at what if you really just focused on the crows and the stump and then the tree on the left, and then all the rest was open. Would you have a nice swoop, or would it be too much of an H-frame open space and that boulder there actually works? You need a comparison to really make a good decision.
Okay.
And then Betty sent a couple of owl photos.
Nice.
And then, so Betty, were you looking at using this fella? I don't think I had color, by the way, which is kind of cool.
I like your picture that you sent me, that one, the best. Because what I like is the shape of the wings, as opposed so much as to this, there's a little more interest than maybe this one. Than maybe that big eagle owl.
So what do you have printed out for you to work off
the
of?
same things that I sent you.
Okay.
And the one that you sent me, the you just showed his picture.
Well, I know it'll work. I know that one will work for sure. So
right. I like him. The only problem that I did practice, I tried a little practice drawing of him, and the feet are going to be a problem.
Yeah.
The legs, and getting the legs, it ends up looking, a couple times that I've tried sketching it, it looks like the feet are coming out of his neck. You know what I mean? I mean, there's like hardly any body. It's all head and feet.
I'll help with proportion. Remember that owls look stupid with their pantaloons out. Like that's the funny thing about, and I also have legs to deal with. Because I'm just gonna demonstrate the owl today, ready to, so it's good. But remember that owls look like little aliens once their little legs come out. So
yes, the feet look almost like little Muppet feet.
Yeah,
they do.
Really, like they've got little booties on.
They're Muppets for sure. Have you ever seen, there's a viral photo that went around the internet years ago of someone who took their phone and went and stuck it up in their attic with a flash and took a picture because there was commotion happening in the attic, and they got a picture, and it was these baby owls, and it totally looks like little aliens. I will find it, and I will text it to you so that you can feel the horror. Like everyone's like, oh, owls are so cute. No, they're strange, and they are very, very like intense. So I'm happy to hear that, though. Out of all the things, the legs are part of that story of him coming to perch. So
yes,
what a good challenge to have, really.
And then you could possibly, in the painting, there was a rock in one of them. You could put a mouse on one of them or something.
Like, get into it, Betty. Yeah.
I remember the class that I took from you, and a lady was drawing a fox, I think it was, and it had like a dead squirrel in its mouth. Because you asked her, you said, "What is that in his mouth?" And she said, "It's a dead squirrel."
Oh my God, I don't remember.
It's so funny. I'm just kidding, really. I'm not.
I know that I've had some reference photos that are really bizarre. And like one, for example, I did a toad. Someone gave me a photo they took of a toad, and it worked out really well. Actually, Irene bought it. And yet in the original photo that Janet had given me, there was a cigarette butt on the ground. It was not my photo. I don't know who was smoking at the time, but like it's interesting to be able to have this power to, it's not about knowing Photoshop and making it look believable. It's about being able to take what you like. And so you could have 4 reference photos for what it's worth, and combine color from this one, background from this one, face from that one, or even just inspiration from this one, like because it creates a mood. So that's a lot. This is our challenge, right? There's a lot of things to nail for what it's worth.
Sharlena,
Yes.
I sent you just a couple of reference photos of horses, and I wouldn't mind some feedback. I mean, my thing, of course, is I am terrified of doing this because I feel like I'm such a beginner and horses are not, I don't think they're not straightforward. But anyway, the whole idea of the year of the fire horse, I find quite inspiring. So there's a horse that I want them in motion. I don't want them just kind of standing there. And there's one that's of a foal, which is um and then adult horses.
I see it now. It's on.
Yeah, and I think I want to do the thing of, combining two photos like into a composition that works, just to add to the challenge for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Is this screen sharing? Do you see the horse?
No.
No. Okay, thank you. Sometimes it doesn't catch right away.
and I'm just asking because I have to leave at 3, unfortunately, but I will, of course, catch up.
Yes, no problem, Esther. And then Nancy, did your appointment come? Is that still
No, not yet.
okay? Okay.
Two.
That's one.
That's beautiful. That's a beautiful photo.
Oh, yeah.
Stunning horse.
Yeah.
It looks like it's dancing.
It
It
does.
does. It does.
Looks like a unicorn.
Yeah,
That's cool. I love that.
there were a couple of photos that I had found that were really, I mean, they weren't really great. Remember, I sent, I don't know where. There's too many places to send information now. I'm not sure where.
Yeah.
But there was sort of like a fiery situation, like
Yeah, that was inspiring.
I think that could go with this guy. Like,
yeah, I think it could. I'm just looking at it now. Maybe I'll share it. Here we go. Just a minute. There we go. I just sent it.
yeah, I went on Flickr and chose all, or not all, but a specific Creative Commons license. It's so tricky. I started to research Creative Commons, and because of AI and stuff, it's actually like a rabbit hole that I'm not going to even pretend I can explain right now. There are more add-ons to licenses like ND, which is non-derivative, and I'm gonna at some point get to maybe by next week I can talk about it. But truly, I think when you're just taking inspiration like this, where there's the fire at the corner and you like how it's hazing out a scene, that's not something you got to worry about for like Creative Commons, okay? But this was on Flickr and it was just, someone's photo. I think that it's so cool with that, like the fire being forefront, but then the horses are obviously the main star of the show.
Yeah. I like that.
I don't know if the little full, he doesn't feel to me like he's capturing the energy.
No, he's sweet.
He's sweet. He's goofy. He's too cute almost.
Very sweet.
So I think that because I mean, this past week we've been really, I've helped look for photos of horses and I was like, yeah, it's actually really hard to find one.
It is. I think I like the dancing horse the best, actually.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
You did. So this is now about looking at, so I'm going to come back here, looking at doing like your thumbnails. How are you going to fit that in either a portrait or horizontal?
Okay.
And then it's a diagonal shape. So what are you going to, what else is going where?
Mhm.
So if you can sketch or print things out and collage ideas together, that would be really good research and getting
Okay.
an idea of how you're going to get this like year of the fire horse without it being too, it's not like a commercial thing. Like, you're not doing this for the year of the fire horse. So it should always come back to you and on a more personal level. And
It's the feeling of it. Like even that dancing horse, it feels like it has passion. It has energy. And even the color of it, I'll probably play with that.
that's so I don't know if it was who is it? Was it maybe Nancy? Talking about like changing up the color of things. And we haven't really discussed that. Not yet. So that I love that approach of like a rainbow palette. Is there, again, I know I'm bouncing around, but is there anyone who wants to change up this charcoal plus media choice? Because that's the basis that I'm going to be demonstrating is charcoal, and then I'm not sure like what else.
Well, it made me think of what you offered in the Craftsy class, where I think you did charcoal first, and then the acrylic, and then the that ground over it.
Acrylic first.
It was acrylic first. Was that it?
Yeah, acrylic.
And then you did the drawing.
So acrylic first. So that process, like I don't have any examples anymore. I might have one, but it's all acrylic or watercolor. It didn't really matter in a way. These days it doesn't. But okay, acrylic, color everywhere, and then I would reveal the animal to a certain point, and then very still messy, and then I would put down that ground, and then when that's dry, take the charcoal powder and start, which is what I'm actually proposing to start at, is the stage of just doing the charcoal powder. So no acrylic bases. But that's because of my journey and where I'm at, and then I don't want to do all of those other stages. But if that was of interest, I can support that. Is that of interest for anyone?
In that case, but you did the animal in acrylic. It was already shaped. It wasn't a background thing that you were drawing on top of. Is that correct?
I put in the chat the owl from your Craftsy class, and then a bunny I did. I don't know if that's helpful.
I think it is. Yeah, it's in the chat. Oh, that bunny is so sweet, Stacy. For that process, I would definitely suggest it has to be watercolor paper, because it's just, supporting all of those different layers.
Sharlena, for me, I really like the process that we did in the other class with the charcoal. I'm interested in other things, but I'm happy to do that again.
Yeah, I would do that again too. or what you're recommending, just for the ease of doing it for this class, and then maybe doing again the process that you did in the Craftsy class, because I
Okay.
really liked that.
I think everyone to a point has either taken Craftsy or done that. So I can always help in the future, like adapting or just like confirming what stage for what. But just to get in, just to show you how I would suggest to get this in, I'll just do that now. Because then we can still talk. I can still, yeah, we still have plenty of time. So I'm just going to set up with some charcoal powder and a big brush. I had already blocked in something else from another idea. I've decided to continue to use this paper because it's not a big deal. Like, I mean, I'm just going to use that powder as it is. It'll work. Like, that's for me the whole thing about the charcoal powder and why I choose it is it's so forgiving. At least on this paper, that's been noted that some paper really steps up the powder, but.
And what paper is it?
I think it's also the charcoal powder that I have. So this is Strathmore Bristol,
The 3.
which is a pretty smooth drawing paper. And then the charcoal powder I have is Generals. I just think that some of the newer brands of charcoal powder, they're darker right out of the gate, and that becomes more of a staining thing. So okay, I did actually want to show that you can use charcoal powder, but you can also just use like a willow. So I'm going to get a willow.
And sorry, so it's because I just checked out Strathmore. So is it the 300 and is it the vellum or the smooth?
It's 500 crystal. I believe it's vellum. But I have been lugging it around for years, so I'm not quite sure. It does on the watermark say 500 Bristol. But I mean, I've done this on tons of different kinds of watercolor paper too. Cold press, 140 pound, 200 pound, 300 pound. The thicker and the rougher, so like 200 pound and up, the rougher is also more fabricy, and so the any dry media kind of sticks in and it's harder to erase back. So again, that whole mixed media process, you want to sort of think about what is important, and if the drawing is important, then getting a hot press might be a reason to choose that.
Sharlena, I have to step out, but I'll see everyone next week, and thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Big hugs. We'll be in touch. Okay. And then I think I'm still spotlit. Okay. So I have my Notan. That's all I'm going to look at right now, because to get in a ghost or like the bones, I don't need to be influenced by color or details or anything like that. If you have your sketch instead of this, that's fine too. You don't need to have a Notan or like this. You can have a drawing of a value sketch.
Sorry, can you show that again? I just looked down for it. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. No time. So
I took the photo and then I did that in that program.
Yeah.
Or I mean, I can draw it out, but it was more for being efficient to use that program, like just doing it quickly.
And can I ask, maybe if you have a process that you suggest? So we're trying to find a reference photo. I'm maybe a little behind. So would you do, okay, try out 4 reference photos, just do little thumbnails, then go to value, then go to Notan, or Notan, then value, or what would your...
A great question. I think the thumbnail sketches are kind of like value to me. So I would, like, after picking one, I would do a Notan, like a quick, with a marker. Just do a little, hey, does this composition look good just with the placement? And then that's it. I wouldn't spend any more time on it.
Okay.
Generally,
Where you
yeah.
go.
Like generally enough, like this gives you enough to work with. Is that, are you going to place the animal on the left or right? What is its orientation going to be, portrait or horizontal?
Okay.
Or is something going to go off the page? And then to not stress too much about it, because things will eventually reveal themselves and change while you're working on the large one. So it's more of a spending the time doing, placement, getting things in line with hot spots.
Okay. And then you just tape your paper to the orientation you've chosen, kind of thing.
Yes. So I'm not sure what ideas I had suggested for a backing board, but like something light, like a foam board. This is a foam board. You can tape it. I've started to look at the idea of stapling, even though it breaks my heart to put holes in the paper.
Yeah, right.
But it's sturdy and I quite like it. And you usually don't do edge to edge with framing anyway, right? You're covering stuff up. So very loose. This is, I was thinking about this whole idea of doing a warm up, for a large piece. And to me, this is the warm up. So very, very, very loose. Because I took the fox down off the easel, I don't have a good buffer in between. This is a thin board, so I'm gonna have to figure out something to wedge that, because it's really not workable. Like, this is the kind of stuff to take the time and sort out in your studio. I didn't quite think about that when I took the down. Does that help? Little. Anyway, you shouldn't be shaking the whole easel down.
When we talked about the owl that I was going to do, we didn't get a chance to talk about what else maybe to add into the background. And I noticed in your painting that, you just added a few grasses, and I was wondering if maybe that's enough just because of all the stuff that's going on. Or now that looks kind of interesting, what you've got in the background there. It almost looks like limbs in the background. I kind of like that.
I like the Notan because the tree branches of the Notan is already a circle. Like there's already, it looks like it's a motion because it's the tree branches are circle, oval.
And that's what I liked about her photo. It wasn't just because to be honest, the owl is sort of boring, just kind of coming right at you. So it is all of that branch stuff that to me is more important almost.
Right.
So why did you decide to do it if you feel it's boring? Why did you decide to go with this?
Because it's dynamic and it'll work. And there's nothing wrong with choosing something because it'll work. Like, it's a good photo. I looked at a whole bunch of other photos that were not really any more exciting. I guess I have done a lot of owls that are sort of just staring out at the world, going like, who? And I'm bored of it. So when I say I think it's boring, but that's not to say other people would.
You're just ready for some action there, huh?
What I saw, and that's the
Yeah.
other thing too, is that when I saw this owl, it was very calmly just flying, past me, and I felt the wind. Like it was not coming right at me. I didn't see its face. So to me, it doesn't also describe the experience. But I know, so I guess in a reason to have chosen it is because it's got all the right stuff. And I can get excited about the branches just as much as the owl. And so this is where it's like the charcoal powder is soft. You're not even going for value at this stage. You're just putting in the main shapes. And then you've got to refine. And this is where the Notan does really help, because I'm not getting distracted by anything, to kind of come in. Like that's the tail. Do I have enough space where the wings are? Like, or is this, because I think this head is a little too overall large.
That's a giant needed razor.
It is. It's like two jammed together. So now it is a giant one.
What's the difference between toning the whole paper and then going dark and light versus mapping in what you're drawing right away up front? Like, what would you say is the happening differently? Does that question make sense?
Yeah. Well, I hope. Okay, let me know if this answers it. Yeah. Different references or different compositions would require going in light first or dark first. And then I think this approach of like doing your mid-tones is quite nice and forgiving. Did that answer that?
Sort of. I find there's a different mental thing. For me, it's just it's the kind of question I wouldn't ask many people, but you're good at answers. Like, it just seems like there's a mental difference between, toning the whole paper and then taking your charcoal, say, and your kneaded eraser and finding the owl versus placing the owl. But I don't know how to articulate what the difference is.
I like that approach. I've done that quite a lot. Like doing the whole paper and then taking away your negative space, or your just your highlights or whatnot. I stopped doing that so much because this is like, I'm just going to put the midtones where I need them, because then it's more work to pull back everything, and then the charcoal powder also like stains the paper. So this was cleaner. Over the years I found this was cleaner to just put in the midtones where I wanted it. So I can't see how, like, if somebody was like, well, I like to do that the whole paper and then pull away, I'd be like, well, I guess that depends on the material as well, because I found this to be a little bit more agreeable with all the different various materials that people would be using in class, because I can't control that, right? Okay. So many times I'd be like, okay, we're going to do this, and then this is the next stage, and then someone was running into problems because they had like a paper that they couldn't erase back. Stacey, is that sounding familiar?
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I should have just said just leave your whites.
Yeah.
So I think it's like the mental aspect you could probably get around, because this is effective just as well. But that's more my reasoning for changing it, is because of variables.
I I got Reeves BFK paper, BFK Reeves, and it's a printmaking paper, so it's very soft. And I don't know if it's going to work like with this technique
Yeah.
because I erase a lot and it's damaging the paper.
Yeah.
But there's a woman who does April Capini who does awesome charcoal works on the BFK Reeves, but she doesn't go in with the charcoal powder, I don't think. She goes in with drawing first and then smears the way she wants to smear.
So I'm going to show that approach as well.
Okay.
Okay. That's great. That was a really good lead in and reminder because it is true. The charcoal powder, again, I love it, but I have seen it become a problem for lots of people. Okay.
Sorry, what's the difference between that and what you're doing?
This is so I'm just going to show an approach where you don't have to use the charcoal powder because either you don't have it or you don't think the paper, because you've done a test, is really accepting it well. Like it's too permanent. It's not erasing well. So now, mind you, I usually show this to people and say, like, you should really pull back. Like after your charcoal powder, you should really pull back so that there's no powder left. This is kind of interesting how it's left a whole bunch of splatters. But anyway, this is a ghost. This is a really good first step to just getting something down and not committed to anything. So I don't have like willow charcoal. So I'm just going to use the stick that I have. It's not compressed, but it is a charcoal stick. And then I'm going to come in. You should really stand. I mean, you can sit, but like however you set yourself up, you should be able to dance and really move. So I'm going to start doing a gesture. You can, place yourself like, so this is the center. I wouldn't get all caught up in guides. If you need to, just focus on like quarters at a time. Okay. Hardly pressing. Again, I'm trying to actually think a little bit smaller because even though on this piece of paper, it feels like it's a really big bird. If I make that head too wide, you think you have all this bloody space, but you want it for key features. So I need to make sure before I get involved here and make any commitment that I've got the wings down. Really looking at angles. That's like a bat. Bat owl. I would still smudge it. You don't have to use a brush. The brush does grind it into the paper, so you can use like a rag, which will actually lift it in a more gentle way. So it seems like it almost disappeared on camera, but I can see just enough that I can start to go, okay, staying in that sort of gesture zone. And then what else is it that I want to bring in that is telling the story? Definitely using a stick for the trees is better than the brush. And when I make a mark that is not pleasing. I'll brush it out. I'm not going to get caught up there. That's like, it's fine. I'm not there to stay right now. So I tend to like brush it out and just be like, I'm going to forget about you for a bit. Because this is not a stage to get all nitpicky, like at all. When I get in that basic stuff. So I would do a little bit more, but this is an essential, like a ghost. Keeping things in like or geometric shapes, like where it will actually look like a child's owl. Because as I'm like trying to, like you're trying to work out your proportion, so you have to stay loose. And I'm not really trying to get stuck on like the face, but the face is tricky because there's like, it kind of goes into the neck. So if that ever happens and you're like, I'm not really sure, then go back to like any kind of reference that you have with the clarity. Like it's okay to do that, you know, like all of these tools are there to help you whenever you need them. But the face is it's funny. So looking at the negative space up in here is actually like, to me, I want that. That's really important. Again, I've drawn enough owls. For me, it's not about the face, even though this guy's staring you right in the face. It's about the motion, the circular effect, the coming at you, flying by. You know, the more there's something else more that I want to capture. So that is something to kind of also remind yourself about, like, what is it? Like Betty, you already said about that owl. It was the feet and the coming in and the like, the swooping, the moment. So that's, as you're sketching this in, you want to really capture that with the gesture. I really want to get the motion. So like, in a way, to hell with proportion, that'll come. You really want to capture that moment. And then Stacy, I tried to find your foxes. So I don't know if you could put them in the chat, because I thought I had added them to the folder. Your drawing, or maybe I did.
I send a drawing.
Yeah, I thought I added your fox sketch to my folder, and I don't have it, and it drives me bananas. And I think it might just be Cloud not updating quickly. I'm not sure.
So I can add, well, you would have to add me to your,
I'll add you to this folder.
my email.
To add participants. Oh, here, I'll share the link because it's public, and I think you can add yourself.
So I just added the fox.
Okay.
Foxes.
Thank you.
Aww. You're sending the link to email or to chat?
Into the chat. So this was, oh, good. This is better anyway, because Stacey's kind of using Procreate, which is really inspiring. But this was actually a test on the paper. You know, you don't have to do that. But... Yeah.
Did you have the Procreate?
That's the one I thought was in my folder, but it's not.
Let's see.
But anyway, I like that you uploaded the one on paper in the chat. Stacy's foxes are in there. Love that you made a note of the light source.
What do you mean she shared a photo in the from the Luddite here?
I'll share the screen. Don't you worry. Oh, you put both in. Okay. Thank you.
You mean if I clicked on the little chat thing, a picture would come up?
Yeah.
I can put this in iPhoto, right? I just don't know how to do it.
So this is Stacy's first her sketch.
Oh,
I know.
I love that.
This was a sketch on Procreate, and then this was the test on paper, which is, showing how that paper is like fabric. It's really like sucking up that charcoal.
Oh, that's
Well,
great.
Wow.
yeah, you can't go over and over and over and erase, I don't think. It's beautiful.
It is just the way it is, really. It's very pretty.
Oh, thanks. I meant the paper.
Oh,
The texture.
that was on the Bristol?
No, this is
Oh,
the Reeves printmaking paper.
oh,
Did you
that's what I meant.
did you make a point, Stacey, to with your kneadable to press and lift when you want to erase?
Yeah.
Okay. Because
Yep,
that whole pressing and lifting is like a key for gentle erasing, but on certain papers, it actually starts to pull the fluff off, and then you're sort of damned either way.
I mean, I've used that. I used white erasers. I used my electric erasers, like just trying to, get at it and see. And it just doesn't, it just isn't, I don't know. I didn't feel it. I just wasn't working. I didn't feel it. So
I'm looking, trying to think about. Okay, I'm gonna look in that folder, Judy. But you can also add it to the chat, or you can text me. I mean, I don't know what's easiest for you, but I'm welcome. What's that?
I can text you.
Yeah. Do you have my cell?
No, I do not.
Okay.
But I will now.
It's 437 345.
I have it. Okay.
6800.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. And I still have like a Canada US plan. Okay.
I'm in Canada.
Yeah, even when my Nana moved, my aunt still lives in BC, and I'm just like, that's okay. I'll just keep the all of Canada plan.
A couple.
Okay, there we go.
But I didn't want to interrupt what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Okay, if I download these. Great drawings of that. Is it one? Is it the same?
It's one drawing. I'm thinking of either doing eagles, bears mating. It's a theme that I've been working at, and so I was just gonna look for the bears, and with the eagles, I sent you two because I thought the idea of space, right? Because they're operating in such vast area of sky, so to leave a lot of the paper open, really, and that is some challenges about space. So that's why I sent you two anyway. I don't have cameras much, so hopefully.
So I'm adding those to the
iCloud thing.
Yeah, it's like a shared folder called Process and Mastery. Sometimes it takes a minute to sync, but they're in there. And then I will also share them here if I have access. Yeah, Judy, I remember when you had done a drawing think it was a mixed media approach of two. It was like an eagle nest. Like you had like
Yeah,
a close up.
Yeah, and you cropped it differently, and it was so interesting.
Yeah, it was like you were right, like they were framing the mothers.
Yeah, the mother's framing the nest. Good memory. But
Well,
you just went, oh yeah, just do this, and it was like, wow, it looks like a totally different image.
it was a cool composition. That is why I remember it. Oh my gosh, what's happening? Something's happening on my end. I'm so freaked out. Oh, there we go. Okay. Oh, I thought it was gonna lose like the whole screen. Okay. Here's the photo. So this is a dance. That's cool. Is that screen sharing happening with the
Yeah,
photos? Okay. And then
this is just my first one because I'm doing everything like in the few minutes before class. So I just thought
that's okay. That's okay. Honestly, please, shrug it off, Judy. Honestly, like, it's a matter of, I think that, again, this kind of like group discussion is what leads us all to success. So the fact that you could be here doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it's video.
Yeah.
We're figuring it out. It's just super. So this would be really cool square. But can you just like, let's just try if it was more portrait, because then it might be.
Well, what I was thinking, which is why I gave you the other image, even though I didn't have more paper, I'm just like, a piece of paper I picked off the ground, is what if they actually had more space all around? It's hard to tell in this, but because they're so far up in the sky, it takes
Uh-huh.
to even really get the details. So to really leave a lot of the reason it's blurred is because I put a blue pastel on there. So to actually have more space than the first photo that you showed.
Mhm.
And then and I'm doing the bears mating thing, and I just have two questions about each idea. But yeah, so to pull it
bears
down on the bottom, go ahead.
What do you mean the bears mating?
It's two topics. I haven't decided yet.
Oh, but you didn't send photos on that.
No, not yet.
Okay, go. Questions.
Okay, so the question about the eagles is, could we go for, imagine the paper was bigger and those two were kind of more over to the right, and so we opened it up on the left and below.
I mean, absolutely, that would work. So then your decisions lead into the kind of paper that you choose has to be like interesting enough to either bring in that pastel, or if you're going to do washes, like what else is going to happen in that space other than it just being paper, like just like you brought in that pastel in there, so that paper choice and that media choice is going to work well together. Like the texture of the paper is going to be important because you're going to see a ton of it.
Yeah, so either do a wash in behind or choose a colored paper, or no, you have to cover it, is what you're saying.
Well, do you have like a lot of pastels?
I do, Charlotte. Imagine I'm like you.
You do that because that would be cool to choose like colored paper, because that gives you an opportunity to then bring in the sky color choices on top of something like a black piece of paper, just going extreme, and then really playing with the depth and layering, making sure that you have enough room for lots of tooth, or doing a wash first for sure. It's always an option.
Go ahead.
I like this. Like, I mean, I know this is the photo off of Facebook, but I also like how the one on the bottom is sort of taking up the whole space, and then the other one's just off in the upper right. Like you could make this fella bigger.
The bottom one.
Hmm.
Okay. I just took that to give an idea of what it would be to be.
Yeah. And then do a sketch. I
Oh,
would
Nancy, you're muted,
Yeah.
Nancy.
Sorry, I have to leave. The plumber is arriving now. So sorry about that. I'll see you next week. Oh yeah, so what
Okay.
do we have to do next week? Our charcoal drawing? Got that.
Do the ghost. Yeah, do the ghost. And if you want to bring in any watercolor in that first before you draw, that would be a good time to do so. If you want to use acrylic, then you would have to do the dry media ground before the charcoal.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll see you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Could you say that again? The dry media ground,
Yeah.
meaning what?
That process is what I had proposed in Craftsy, and I'm like, was brought up by Nancy because she really loves the process.
Right.
And so with her fox, which is in that folder now, you can see her finished fox. It's awesome. But she was like, you know what, I really wish I had have painted first before bringing in the soft pastel. So I'm just green lighting that as an option. But for all the reasons why a lot of the work we have to do is outside of this class, that process in particular is really long. So you go in, you paint, you do more transparent buildup of colors, splatters, really loosey, and then you let that dry overnight, and then you put down a dry media ground, which is a pastel ground.
Okay, like not a gesso, but
Not
acrylic media. Yeah.
You could use a clear gesso, but it's not going to give you enough tooth. So
Okay.
this Triart calls it the dry media ground.
Okay.
Golden calls it a pastel ground. There's a couple other brands out there that make it. Basically, what it is giving you the power to create a sanded pastel paper, and you want to apply this with like a rubber tool or a credit card or something flat. I usually use this fella. And then you do like a really paper thin layer on top of whatever your acrylic painting. And then that has to dry for, I'd say, definitely a day for sure. And then you're sort of ready for this stage on top of the color and the ground. So that's a whole ton of work, but as long as Nancy has time, or she doesn't have to have this done for next week. Like,
Right.
I'll put that in the follow-up. Like this whole idea of this class is to talk things out, and so that we also have check-ins. So you know that if you come next Tuesday and you're like, life got in the way, I couldn't, but this is the time that I have. I'm going to start, getting into it, and at least I have my plan, and I'm happy with it, and I'm still excited. That's my number one. Are you still into it? Because if you start something and then you're like, I don't like this, then we'll have to talk.
Or say you found it boring. I'm just being funny.
So I'm not sure if what I want to do. You're saying that if you want to do watercolor, you would do that first and then go in with your charcoal work?
Yeah.
That you're doing, like what you're doing right there?
Yes.
I would kind of like, for this, since I've done what the Craftsy one, I know that is one I really like, but I'd like to try it this way for this class.
Okay.
So, but if you did acrylic for the background, though, you would have to do the dry media ground then.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. Yeah, that's what that
Okay.
ground is for, because even if you water the hell out of
Yeah.
acrylics, there's still a film of gloss polymer in there.
Right.
And I mean, you don't have to. Let's say you did it really watery, and then you were prepared to put down a ground when and if you run into trouble. That could also be an option.
Right.
That's like the spot ground, like where you just put it right where you need it. But
Well, for this,
yeah, go ahead.
well, for this particular owl, I've got my little grid drawn on here. But for this I'm not sure he needs much. I mean, I don't know if I want to do color, if I want to just keep him. Do you have any recommendations for that? Just keep it in the gray tones or the,
Ooh.
I'd say, oh, sorry, are you thinking, Sharlena?
no, go ahead. I mean,
I just
I'm
jumped
open.
in. Well, because I just feel excited about that notion, and I'm wondering if you know, like thinking to yourself why you want to do that
Mhm.
would help you decide.
Why I want to do this picture, you mean?
Know why you want to do that neutralish kind of tones.
Oh, why? Well,
Because
it's
I
a good
that's
question.
what would help me.
Um, I don't know
Because
why.
I was going to piggyback a little bit in a similar question, Betty, is, you know, uh, don't choose monochromatic just simply because that's the reference, because I put it into black and white
Right.
for that class and I don't have the original. But, you know, to be able to say, I really do like earthy tones,
Well, I do like earthy tones. Yeah.
then, you know, you could keep it in monochromatic, but with browns and yellows and sort of like maybe this is where some of the other photos that you chose
Right.
that could really help inspire the color.
Right. Like this. I love this, the color in this. And so maybe I could even combine that.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if you
Yeah.
want to simplify it, the one from the class, the Craftsy class that I put up, there was what, 3 colors in there?
Yeah. I think
There was,
that was it, I think.
And that was like
Indian gray and
green gold,
right.
black and white. So the black and white is still part of the coloring in an owl, right? Because there's a lot of that black and white patterning in them. So to like bring in, choose, do you want it to be, you could do a neutral rainbow. Do you know what I mean? Like all earthy rainbow colors,
Right.
or like burgundies and olivey greens and rusty browns, or keep it on the cool side of things or the warm side of things. Like, you know, do you feel that this is a ferocious sort of like coming in, I'm going to get you, like it should be fiery, or like, but this is like about creating a narrative. It's a mood,
Right.
Yeah,
atmosphere.
exactly.
You
Well, it's
can keep
Because
it
helpful,
all
I'm
helpful
thinking,
blue.
to talk about it.
because
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's super interesting that you picked black and white and then you really like the red. So that's like maybe you don't want to be naturalistic. Maybe you want to give a message about the bird coming towards you or the drama or the, or you could go the camouflage direction, like you choose the colors because you like the surroundings and that's how owls hunt. So that's why I was saying, like, the more you know about what it is that draws you to that idea.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting.
Love,
Yep.
love that, like, that is a thought for the now.
Yeah.
It is very on point to consider that. I think if I look at the folder and some of the other, like there's that owl that you had when you print it out, it's so much more red, but to me that's still complimentary, right? There's
Oh, right. This.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
very red in the print, but on my screen
It's this in this. It's like a salmon and a taupe kind
but
of.
that's not what the photo looks like. So
Oh.
your printer is printing that out a bit differently, and that's fine.
But if you like
Okay.
it, like it's great, right?
Yeah. To me, that's still complimentary. There's still like so salmon taupe, and then the opposite of that would be like
Blue.
greenish brown,
Yeah, yeah.
and or you could do more of the orangey, like burnt sienna, and then the blue, which always goes over really well. It's the #1 classic nature combo. And then so just having that like extra palette and then knowing that you're going to do black and white with it will keep it pretty neutral.
Yes, I like that. Okay. Well, good. I'm glad we talked about that.
And if you remember from the Craftsy sessions in that first stage of doing paint, I'm going to have to do paint on this because of the conversations. And No, not that I have to. I'm going to choose to. This paper can't take very much, but what I'll do is I'll set myself up with my camera overhead, and then I will do a recording, and I'll slap it on to the end of today's recording, and I'll send that out in the morning tomorrow. But yeah, so remember, you go even more vivid than you want the result, because you're going to be bringing in charcoal and pastel that's opaque, or at least semi-opaque. So if you want a burgundy or like a salmon color, then you actually go brighter initially, more of a Indian yellow and magenta.
Would you put that even like where the bird is? Paint over where the bird is, not just the background we're talking about, but the bird also, the owl also?
You want to know what I would do?
Yes, sure, I would.
I love the keyword, and for what it's worth, is camouflage. I actually think I would approach the whole paper as a big splatter of the colors that you like, and just go to town splattering it, and then prepare it to draw over top of, and adjust things, like make the owl more stand out, or chill out the background. If it's, yeah, I would probably just create like what you call an active surface, and just go and splatter the whole darn sheet of paper, and not worry, and let, like, as you go, you can say, I like that there, this, I'm going to have to cover this up, not, that's too bright, or that doesn't make sense. I wouldn't worry about placement, because this is an opportunity to do planning in some areas. Like, this is still a ton of planning, a lot of thoughts, considerations and decisions, but then to also let this work speak to you and go with the flow of it, and experiment, and just like, okay, let's just try this. So I mean, that's what would sit well with me, is like, okay, I like these colors. The owl in the background sort of don't distinguish from each other. Like, they're kind of all in swoop. It's a swoop. And then that's how the brush strokes would be. Like, it'd be coming down like a big swoop. So that's like a setting yourself up with the big brushes and the colors, and getting ready, putting on some big band era stuff, and just like, boom, dumping the paint down, ragging it up, slopping it up, and just preparing it for making it an interesting surface.
Okay. So watercolor first, and then the powdered charcoal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I will send that in the recording so that you can see, like, because this isn't a lot. So what I'll explain is, when I do watercolor over top of this is now going to be permanent. I'm not going to be able to change any of these lines, which is fine, because there's not a lot of them. But going in and doing the paper when it's clean and white and fresh with color, that makes a lot more sense.
Okay.
And then let it really dry, and then it's ready. Like, Stacy, if you have an extra scrap or the back of that one, I would play with splatters of something, because printmaking paper is so crazy absorbent, so you can't erase very well on it. But what if putting some paint actually helped it erase better?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
See, just to see.
That looks great. I mean, like, the paper looks happy with that.
Yeah, but I don't know that I'm going to stick with this paper because of the erasing.
Yeah. That you tried.
I'm super excited right now. Like, I'm super excited. I did the woodpeckers, and I'm excited to start this, and I don't want to start off struggling.
Yeah.
Because then it'll go.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that to myself, because I'm, like, if I have a process and I know, like, I'm just flowing and everything else, and I'm like, hey, okay, this is now the time to try a different paper.
One little new thing like that, you throw the whole thing off, where you're like, wait a minute, now I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I don't like that either. Right. Okay, you have the paper, set it aside.
And so I was thinking about ordering the Strathmore. Because
Okay.
I really like how much you can erase back.
Mm-hmm. It's nice.
And when I'm envisioning these projects, I'm not envisioning a bunch of watercolor or a bunch of wet media.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of maybe going over, you said pan pastel can't really go over it, but
It just sort of goes on. I mean, it's stuck, but it's sort of like, especially with that sponge tool, it just sort of pulls it off. Like,
right. And I think it mixes with the black because I don't need it fluorescent orange like this, even though I love my fluorescent oranges. I have pastels that I can use. So
the soft pastel sticks
yeah,
better on the Strathmore because they're so pigmented that when I went to use the sponge tool or a brush, it really worked with the charcoal. So the more I added, I mean, it has a max. It's not toothed much at all.
you could spray it with a spray tooth, right? And then add it. The other thing is, did you try, and I know a woman who uses brushes, like an actual brush, like we do with the charcoal with the pan pastel. That's how she puts it on.
I have, I didn't with that one. Well, no, I don't think I did. I just,
like if it works with that paper. That was just the question. So
yeah, I didn't try it with that. Not with the pan pastels anyway.
Are you using, excuse me, are you using the paper because just instead of watercolor paper, let's say, just because you're not going to use much color or I mean, liquid, watercolor or acrylic?
Me?
Is that why you're using paper instead of,
I like the paper.
pardon?
I like the paper.
The paper?
And then, yeah, when I was first, considering, okay, when we were talking about putting this class together, because this is a collaborative class, by the way, like this is the whole idea was like, okay, how can I guide this? And I always feel like I should have a technique or a process, but I also want to leave it open.
Yeah.
So when I first put it together, I was like, okay, I would approach this with the charcoal and then bringing in some accents, whatever they are. And I know this paper can handle it, and I already had it. Now I do have watercolor paper, but in my mind, I wasn't going for the painterly ratio. I was like, that might happen, but I want to focus more on the drawing. So that was why I chose that paper for myself. I think in the supply list, I'm pretty sure I said like watercolor paper or whatever.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Okay.
But so Betty, it's just that I like Strathmore, and I mean I can use acrylic on it, probably better than watercolor.
Yeah, I see.
I mean it's the kind of paper that when you know it's not for watercolor. It's the kind of paper that you go to make a stroke and it sits in the paper like that. Like you make a line and let's say you go to tickle a little bit of water in to soften the edge, and it's like, no.
I see.
That's what Strathmore is like. It's not mixed media paper. So I mean, I'm explaining this because Stacey wants to buy it.
well, I did find 11 by 14 pad of the Strathmore Vellum 500.
That's right. Yeah. Okay.
Because they buy, they sell them smaller sizes fairly easy. So I forgot I did that because I hadn't touched it. And so while they're playing around, I will play around with just putting charcoal on.
Okay, that's good.
I sent you a photo if we could take a look.
Yes. Okay.
Thought if you don't mind. So 2 questions up.
I'm gonna drop them in. Oh, it's just one photo, right?
Photo just to get the idea of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to add this into shared album. Yes. Post. Okay.
Well, only you can add to that, right? Because it would save you work if we could.
No, you can add to it.
Yeah, see if I can figure it out.
Let's see, add participants. There. And then I'll add Betty.
Wow. Thank you.
Nancy. I'll screen share to show the bears. I'm just going to add Nancy and Esther, so that's all done. There. Okay, that's great. So everyone's added to that folder. And if it's not a thing that you want to use or feel comfortable using, that's fine. But it has been really helpful. I feel like anytime I'm sharing things or looking at, like, was it sent over text, email, Facebook Messenger, I go a little batshit. So to have a central place to put stuff is nice.
Yeah. Because I wanted to, but I don't know how.
Okay, so I'm going to share, and then I have this in the folder here.
You can take it out too. Like I just pulled one up to ask the question.
Oh God, that is not. Are they that gentle and sweet when they're made?
And I am doing a little bias thing because I have done a bit of research.
Yeah.
Email feel and all that kind of stuff. I'll tell you, I'll entertain you if I go this way. But yeah, sometimes it's not like the female does not look particularly into it or happy. So, but for the theme, I'm going to find the ones that she's not quite as disgruntled. But the thing that I'm wondering if I'm capable of at this stage is it's so subtle, right? Like if you took a Notan of this, there would be the black collected blob, right?
Yeah.
In the middle. And it's part of what I want to go for. Like with the eagles, I want to feel like they're joined in a way, but separate, you know? I want that. So that's why I picked this image. But I'm wondering what the challenges are doing to sort of individuals that are semi-blended and not, and making it distinct enough on a large scale.
Uh-huh.
I mean, here's the black and the brown that you could work with, but it's still pretty subtle. And as you get bigger, you know,
like a lot of fur, Judy. This is going to be like a ton of fur that
challenging, right?
With, again, that's why I like mixed media, like bringing in, say, a little bit of paint, a little bit of pastel, a little bit of charcoal will help you create an interesting texture. So you're not having to Robert Bateman with a 000 brush. And a Notan of this one would be that really it's like draw a contour line around both bears, and that's your dark, and then everything else is light. Like, so that's your Notan. And that's saying that, hey, it's very minimal. It's okay to have like two big shapes, the grass and then the bears. It's asymmetrical, so it's more to the right. So it works that he's off and that you're focused, her face is right on that hot spot point to the left. So the composition works. Your challenge with this piece would certainly be playing with those neutrals and the texture. And then do you want to do something a little more funky in the surrounding environment?
Is it kind of too much to tackle?
Not at all. I'd hope you'd do both of them. Like, I'd hope that they would both happen. And you could explore because this is the opposite. This is so much space. And it's all about, again, creating interest in the environment. It's just the opposite. So I think they're both valuable to do. These guys do feel connected to me.
Yeah.
In that, now that you say that, I guess I'd lean more to them being on the one side.
Mm-hmm.
I
Like
quite
what?
like the square, Judy. Like I actually like that this is square.
Yeah, I'm interested in why.
If it was kind of more portrait and up and down or horizontal, there's just all this space that is kind of dead. This feels really nicely balanced.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Feel it. Like one thing I'm really interested in gesture, and it's so interesting you started off with the coyotes because they were so in motion. Like you really felt like you weren't watching a static moment. And that's what I want to find, right?
Yeah, I would do the bears then. You have a lot of texture. And the only thing with the eagles that I would suggest is that to make it interesting and in motion is that the sky, if you could realize the sky almost like an impressionistic situation, that you can see air molecules and particles and really push that texture of a sky that doesn't actually exist, except that you're creating the impression of motion. And
Okay, so you would say, because in yours it seemed like it was the two coyotes that were in motion, but you'd say the background, like use the back.
in my opinion, those coyotes, it's all about the grass that's making it feel emotion.
Okay, I'll stare at it.
um yeah, there's a couple of process bits in there. You know, I I love painting and drawing with my fingers. So like at this scale, I got this big brush, I've got a stick, and I've got tools that allow me to cover up areas. But once I say halfway through into this piece, standing at an easel and having all this shit in my hands like this, that if I will eventually be like, I need this tool as well. And so like a lot of those areas in the grasses are my fingers.
And what I like, part of the reason I wanted to do this with you is that combination of planning, because I've done a lot of sketching now, and really trusting, that the what is it I'm trying to get across and responding to what's in front of me and trusting the layers, right? And all of that, like that's something I'm great at. And it leads to my next question perfectly, which is when you're doing the craftsy thing or even what you're doing, what are we thinking about for that first layer? Because you could have done a finished charcoal piece when you did your owl, right? So how are we thinking of what we're holding back and what we're putting in those first layers? Or the same for Betty.
Motion, actually, it's motion. It is 100% a gestural feeling, because if I don't start that way, and I feel this for everybody, but it's just my perspective and my experience, I feel that once the beginning is gridded and trying to see beyond that, like that first stage, which is always a ghost. Like no matter how we approach the planning, it doesn't matter how small or big it is, this stage is still a thumbnail to me. Like this isn't any different than this. So I think in my mind, I'm like, I have to start here because the final result is weeks away. It's so much work. So for me to get in something that has like capturing a feeling or motion at this stage will help carry it through, even when I start to get into details and stiffen up. So it's a lot of looseness and non-committal, and being more interested in the placement of the shapes so that I'm not like having a big freaking hiccup later and going like, oh, that wing is way off and I could have sorted that out. So it's really just main shapes, kind of like I can barely see it in my mind, like just squinting and just barely visualizing it so that I'm not taunting myself with all of the stuff that tends to be stressful. So it's still fun for me. Like I'm like barely touching my toe in and calling it a polar bear dip.
There's other things that you think of, like what you said to Betty about doing the colors more chromatically, right? So then you can come down, like what are there other things like that to think about? That made sense to me. Because for me, because I've been sketching so much, in a short time, I'm creating like the quote unquote finished version, right? So now I'm switching into, which is where I want longer pieces, but I don't know how to think that through or feel it through, like what you said, knowing that there's 4 weeks to go.
Okay, so I will give you an overview of what would be good benchmarkers for the weeks. I do think that what Stacy's doing, which is doing little tests for mixed media, only if you want to stray away from what I proposed, which is what's on that supply list. So it's a lot of charcoal, and then the mixed media options were soft pastels, watercolor, gouache, acrylic oils, and how to prepare your surface for that, how to choose your paper for that. So for I'm not going to get into oils. I had put that there because I was like, that's okay if someone else wants to. I'll probably stick to soft pastel and probably watercolor. Yeah. I mean, that's just where I'm at. So if you're not sure, I would do those little studies, little tiny thumbnails with the media and playing with color. What next week is all about is going into the darks, establishing some depth, managing value, getting like proportion. So it kind of, after this and maybe some like splashes of media, it gets stressful right away. Like, you know what I mean? So this is like, keep it fun. Then we get more refined. So bringing in more of the mixed media, contemplation and refinement and critique. With the coyotes, I only chose, was it the third week, the color palette? Like, I mean, I went and did a lot of the drawing part first, and I didn't even decide on media or colors. I ended up doing a little test, choosing between acrylics and soft pastel. So I was like, came in the studio, I said, okay, well, I like these colors. So I put together some acrylics, and I put together some soft pastels, and then I put them sort of down, and instantly I was like, I want soft pastels. So it was a day. Had I done that little test a different day, I might have gone with acrylics. So it's very impulsive, but there's still planning, right? Like that's still a moment. So whether you do that now or whether you do it then, it's not such a big deal. So I guess with sometimes coming in with like the paint and preparing your paper, that's where you're like, well, I would have done that first. So that's the only reason to have like that planned at this stage.
But you didn't do the color first, though, on the
not on the coyotes, but I will. I'm because we're talking about it, I'm going to bring in watercolor here. It's just that I have to do it flat. There's no way. So that's a consideration too, right? It's like setting up your space.
Right.
Whereas next week I will.
Yeah. So the other thing is, the last time, like we did our initial block in with our charcoal, and the dark areas and the light areas to get the values. So we worked on values. And then the next week we had to remember, okay, so now those dark areas are going to become midtones, because we waited to bring in the charcoal pencils and the compressed charcoal at the second week. And then, you still were working on shapes and values. And then the third week was color. The third or fourth week was color.
Yeah. I'm just going to make one little correction there, is that the charcoal powder became the mid-tone.
Yes. So because we only worked in charcoal powder the first week in that class.
Yeah.
And then the second week we brought in pencils and compressed charcoal, and that's bringing in the real darks.
Yes.
But this time you're going to put the color first. And then back in.
With paint, yeah. So, I mean, you have two choices for paint. Bringing it in at the very beginning to create what's called technically an active ground. So you're creating a colored paper. And then you're preparing that. So you either have the ground or you've used a watercolor, which is gritty, and you know that once that's dry, you can draw on it. The other choice, the second choice, is to bring in paint over top of a drawing, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just that whatever you paint over is permanent. Again, nothing wrong with that. It's just that all that paint and water will set this into the paper. It could be a cool thing. I'm going to show you. I'm going to record it. But so it's just a matter of, like, I think this happened with the coyotes. I said I had added so much charcoal that I didn't want to bring in paint, because then it really would have mixed together and like made the paint just dark. Even if I had sprayed it, I had at that point kind of gone too far. So I limited myself, where it was like, now soft pastel works, but bringing in a paint is kind of screwing myself over. It was just going to mix with the charcoal and become dark. And so these are examples of when and why to make decisions.
So on top of that charcoal, you're not going to put any medium. You're just going to have, you're going to put it straight. You're going to put your watercolor straight on top of your charcoal.
Yeah.
You're going to put anything on top of the watercolor before you go back in? Okay.
It's one of the reasons why I've chosen watercolor in the past few years. It's just easier. And like, I at one point didn't really vibe with watercolor personally. I was working for an acrylic company. I'm like, acrylics 100%. But it was just true, right? I mean, that's what I knew. And now I am way more comfortable with watercolor in an experimental way. So it's a personal decision to say, you know, watercolor still gives me sort of the splashes and this and that I like. It's not as bright. It's not as intense, but I still really, you know, like some of the colors that I have. And yeah, so then I don't need to do that dry media ground, which I'm sort of like, I don't want to use it on this paper. I would use it on a different paper, but this paper is so nice. It's part of the process for me. I love this paper. I love the feel of it. I like how smooth it is. So all my decisions, I can give reasons that spiderweb out, but it really comes to the core of, I'm sort of working with the materials that I really like. And then the owl is sort of secondary. It is. If the owl doesn't work out, that's fine. But, you know, 4 weeks of enjoyment is, we want that. So yeah, watercolor is just, it dries gritty. Like watercolor is you wash out the binder and it ends up becoming really gritty, and you can draw very easily on top of it. Whereas acrylic, you really need that ground. Doesn't have to be dry media ground. It could be a clear gesso, but you really need that acrylic to have some matte over it before you start drawing again.
That's great answers. Thank you.
I have so I'm gonna, okay, there's 2 things that I'm going to attach in the follow-up. One is a Notan, and one is so the Notan, because that article by Robert Jen really explains it with this great example. And then you'll have read it and you'll be like, oh yeah, get it. And then the drawing grounds, I will send that. And thank you for the questions and pushing me to give more concrete answers or to have them apply. Because again, this class was sort of custom, like this in a way is like private, customized. This is what I do for private classes, right? Is to how to plan just for you, and to bounce around can be a little bit like, whoa, that's 2 hours. It's not just about your work. It was about everyone's work, and like hearing advice and suggestions about something that you wouldn't do or consider because you're not going to do 2 mating bears
Right.
duty.
Because I'm not going to.
No, I hope you do. I actually really hope you choose the bears because it is freaking adorable. And then of course do the eagles, but I think the bears are like, it's a big piece of paper. You got big animals. There's something about that. I think the eagles will happen really quickly. You could work on both.
I think I like that idea because, it gives you that break that sometimes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So that's something we haven't really talked about up until now with like Stacy and Esther and Nancy were in the February classes. Okay. So this is great. This is new, fresh perspectives from Judy and Betty, and really thinking about your inner rhythm and your pace. Esther jokes about how she's very slow. Well, that's her enjoyment of the pace, and she has her, other things to contend with. So we all have to like know ourselves and know, sort of think about how we want this to look. If you have 2 easels, if you have the space to do it, if you have the time and the ideas. Also, something we didn't talk about is that you can crop this paper. So when I said, a square, I think that's like, it doesn't have to be a full sheet in that regard. But I want to move beyond the 8x10, 9x12 pieces of paper. That's all. So we're going bigger.
well, and I think your aim is happening. I think you have a great concept for it. Yeah.
There's also doesn't have to be paper. And I know this is, again, like we could talk all into the evening, but if you have a birch panel you want to prepare, you can draw on birch panel. You can apply the same process to birch panel. There's different qualities of birch and different challenges that you will run into, but that there's other, if something pops up at 3 a.m, write it down and then we'll explore it and talk about it, how it can work. So far, I think everyone's got their ideas and their like thumbnails, because like, Betty, you really don't have to do a thumbnail. You're using the reference. Do you want to change anything? No. You need to find a pantaloon reference. You need to decide on a color palette. Those are the things you need to do.
What's a pantaloon?
Yeah. The legs.
The legs on the owl.
They do
Okay.
look like pantaloons.
They look like pantaloons.
They do. I mean, no matter how I draw it, it look like little knees, knees
or
and little booties.
Paint them, yeah. So I know they're a big part of your story, but they still need to be like somewhat understated, like to just like
right.
When so if you look through that folder, I invited you to the iPhotos folder. When you open up photos on your Apple device, you'll see an activity in the shared section, and then you can join there. It'll be like a red dot when you open up photos. Look through the process of the coyotes. I don't know, was it like literally until the last hour that I had no idea what the paws were going to look like, because I had really poor references. And so then I had to look at other photos and decide how to balance it back and forth. I'd say I was working on that like 3 hours a week in between classes, 2-3 hours a week. Generally after, like, or the next day, like after class, like tomorrow I'll be in here, So I mean, can just kind of see how much work goes in. I'm fast. I'm really quick. And so, but your internal rhythm means that you might have to come back at it a little more often throughout the week, right?
Yeah, well, I'm slower, so
Not that has to have a certain amount done by, but
right.
if you want to keep the momentum, I mean, Esther out of our last group is in that she's made a decision that she's okay with putting the caribou aside for right now. She wants to do the horse, but I would have been like, okay, how can I help you get that caribou done so that it's not lingering around the studio when you don't have the momentum and encouragement of everyone else. So to have an aim for the 4 weeks is just ideal. This doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's okay.
I have a question to ask about. I know you're an acrylic person, and I started in watercolor. So
Okay.
if you think about, and but I'm such a newbie to art in a way. But if you think about the whitish tail of the eagle, right? I have been thinking, so in watercolor, you might leave it white and come back to it and put a bit of color. But I've always noticed colors, like bright colors, look so much more vibrant on the dark, right? So say you painted, just as an example, you painted that tail white or black, and then you went in with the white, but the white feels more vibrant to me.
Contrast.
Something that, okay, so is there any leads you can give on that when I'm doing this first layer?
What's the medium that's feeling right? Because you pulled out a soft pastel to sketch it, but that doesn't mean that's your choice.
I'm gonna think about that because I really love I've been using the Rockwell paint, so the pigmented natural pigment stuff. They're gorgeous.
Is that the mineral paint that kind of does weird things?
They're called self-evolving, so they
Yeah.
do crazy things, and I love the spontaneity of it. So that's one thought, and the other thought is to do the charcoal and you go back with watercolor, or just do it straight in the steps of the charcoal. So that's what I'll have to think about.
Oh, I would so do. Okay, wait, let me think about that. I would do the charcoal first, like a ghost.
Yeah.
Then I would come in with the watercolor and let it marble up, and then come in and draw again.
That's what I was thinking, but I don't know, like the tail, would I just leave it if I'm working on white paper, or I liked your idea of black paper though, but that's a lot of work.
Not with watercolor. I mean, you can use metallics on black paper, but
Okay, so I have the white paper. I do it in charcoal. Should I leave that white tail white? It's just an example, and then come in and play with it, or should I go dark so that when I'm on top of it, I can do that contrast?
let me see the photo again, or your sketch. I would leave it just in the first stage, Judy, because you can always bring in watercolor later.
Okay.
Just for getting the design in, maybe do like a softer wash, like instead of going really dark, and then we can assess. Like if you can block that in for say next week and text me, then maybe it could be like immediately you'll know I need to do that darker. I want that happening now.
Yeah.
But you can't go back. The only if you go dark right away, the only option is you're leaving yourself with bringing in acrylic, like white acrylic or a white opaque, which is fine. But just in case, if you can plan to go a little bit slower, and then we can see how you're feeling as we go. That's another reason why breaking it up is good. So you don't have to make a decision, but I would say just lighter to start, just to get it in there. If you want to do soft pastel and you have black paper, maybe try 2.
I'm game to I like iterations and studies, right?
Yeah.
Cool to do that, and what you're doing is cool.
Variations. I love seeing variations of things. I've been kind of on that kick the past couple of years, and I really, really dig it. Having 2 large pieces, if you can get, especially a composition where it's it is flowing on its own, it's a little more effortless, not a shit ton of detail, then you're kind of going to be able to choose without, like, this is the one I like more. Maybe it'll inform another piece, without being so like, oh, I did two and, you know, I have to choose one, or they're both great. What do I do with both? Like, I'd say one will just naturally, usually, go better and be like, oh, I like this. This is working out really nicely.
And I was going to say that for you too, Betty. Like just trying, since you want kind of just simple contrast in a sense, like complementary, whatever, that you could do a few studies of like your owl and just like say the all camouflage or the what Sharlena was saying, the complementary camouflage or whatever. I thought that would be a cool way to explore.
Mm-hmm. So, because I don't have my overhead camera, and I would have, but then it kicked me out as a host, so that's stupid. So what I would suggest, this is similar to yours. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna just spotlight here. So this is also for Judy, okay? And then this will be, I'll talk to Esther and Nancy, but so doing a little, like 3 of these little quick sketches. This is just with charcoal powder and charcoal pencil. And then coming in and doing 3 different color studies with different media.
Sorry, can you put it up again?
Yep. So imagine this is the guy coming in with his little feet, Betty. Just all you need is this little scribble to do that 3 times.
Are you talking to me, Sharlena?
Yeah.
Oh.
The thing is, you know, like mathematically, if you think about it, you have the different postures and then you have the different colors, and you could have so many thumbnails just there, right? So I think enjoying that process as a process too.
Exactly.
So I'm sorry, Sharlena, I didn't realize you were talking to me. You were saying to do 3 thumbnails?
Yeah, I'm going to sketch it out. Here. Okay, and I just mean that they need to be really quick like this. Okay, it's because you're just going to focus on color and media. You've already chosen your reference photo, so all you need is a scribble and then start to say, okay, well, you know, what about that complementary, you know, where,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
you know, would the orange be good in the owl? Because there is a tree stump.
Oh my God, that already looks gorgeous.
Or, okay, so no, are you going to put the orange in here? And then is the owl going to be more black and white? Like these, you could have so many of these little color flips of like just literally pushing the color in different spots. You know, we did that in the Fauvism class.
Well, it's interesting because Stacy's doing it in one way, and I'm going to obviously do it another. And there's ways to really make, like in Stacy's case, is exploring, I think, Stacy, like the surface, right? In Betty's, it might be color scheme. In my case, it would be medium, right? So just
Nancy's media too, because of the reference. Yeah. So playing with like, okay, if I bring in a lot of charcoal, that completely mutes out the color. Is that kind of making you happy? You know, that kind of idea of like, do I want it kind of to be more black and white, but what hint of color is it going to be? And does that media work with charcoal really well? You know, soft pastel works with charcoal really well. So that would be an easy one. But to really like stretch the thumbnails, that they're different, not just small little subtle differences, to be like night scene, day scene. Like
what?
nighttime scene, daytime scene. Like really push your explorations. Like that references in black and white, because I did it in black and white pastel on sanded pastel paper. And it was fine. I was happy in black and white with it. So, you know, to try that and then to be like, okay, but what about that with a hint of color, just like one shot or a little bit? Remember, this is going to be huge. If it's black and white, it's like, you better have a space or something in, like, in mind, where it's not just going to be like a heavy, dark thing. Those coyotes, I mean, that reference, the night scene, was so freaking dark that when I got the photo from the photographer, that I had to lighten it up. I mean, there's just no way that it would have worked out well being so dark. Not at least to my feeling of things. Like, I wanted it to feel dark in a way, but not like black. So that's where I was like, what smudges really well with the charcoal, where I'm going to get some color. And anyway, okay, here's the thing. Send me your sketches, please. Just email or send them on text or messenger is fine. It's twofold. One, so that we can do a back and forth. I will always respond when I can. I got a ton of, reason to get back, like at least once a day. I'll check those messages, sort of thing. So like, just know that I will get back to you. But also so that I can share in the class in that folder and screen share, and it'll be a little bit more effortless. So to have some sketches, even if you've started doing this ghost on the large, if you haven't, that's fine. But if you have, to send me a snapshot of that so I can see your setup in your studio, scale, throw a cat in there, a photo, give me a cat cameo. So yeah, so if I think, for what it's worth, in this class, there's going to be a lot of visual communication with technology, because we can't see and demonstrate in the same way. We can't work in the same way we have with other projects. So do what works for you. Okay. Write it out. Write out notes for yourself. This is about you figuring out a process. And if you get stuck, hit me up. I'm here to help. I am going to send out the AI notes, which is what Zoom does now automatically. I'm going to send that out like as soon as it's ready. Esther and I were talking about marketing, so there might be some mention of that in the AI notes, whatever. It's just about marketing and stuff. But generally, this AI note review thing gives a summary of the things we've talked about. So even if there's been a lot of long explanations about something that was clear but then got confusing, these AI notes seem to summarize it up pretty good about what to do next and what actions to take.
Okay.
All
right. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you for joining today, and I'll talk to you guys really soon.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And for all